Welcome back to the channel. As always, please note that this information is for educational purposes only. If you're copy trading, you're an absolute moron and you deserve to lose all your money. And with that out of the way, we'll present today's stock, which is Victoria's Secret & Co., ticker VSCO. This company, relatively low market cap, 2.3 billion. So it's unusual to have companies with this type of market cap size as a short, but we'll see the reasons for that in a minute. So this is an organization that was part of L Brands, was spun out back in 2021, and part of the reason for that is because the previous chairman, Lex Wexner, has ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which when those accusations surfaced wasn't a great time because the company was undergoing certain controversy due to commentaries about one of their executives on transgender people. And also, they were garnering some criticism because of the popularity of their show was, according to some opinions of their target audience, not inclusive, outdated, not open to people with plus sizes and so on. So as you can see, the company hasn't been really trading for that long, since late 2021. And what typically happens when that is the case is that there are certain chances for the company kind of like dipping quite significantly because it's no longer maintained by investment banks, of course, if they're not doing things properly. So one of the reasons why I picked this company is because the trading of the stock is below the sector on both PE and PEG basis. Having said that, there are other players with lower valuations like BLE and CAL, but I wouldn't be considering those for three reasons. First of all, the valuations of those players are as low as the sector has ever been. So, unless that we have a massive market crash, I can't see those valuations going much lower. Then the other thing is that they have similar market cap but a lower brand recognition, and they may be uh, experiencing growth further than the line. That's not really the case with Victoria's Secret, which is a very established, long established brand that has been around for many years, and arguably now has more competition than before because the barrier to entry to the sector is relatively small. Uh, and last but not least, they have these other companies, they have significantly lower debt than Victoria's Secret, which has a debt to equity ratio of more than 300%. So that is quite significant. If we were to look at this from a sector comparison perspective, the company at the moment is kind of like middle of the road. So this is what we have here on a EV to sales basis. So really it's trading on that basis at the same level, at the same valuation than Gap or Foot Locker, and pretty close to Urban Outfitters. Part of the reason for that is the debt that we have mentioned just now. I have also this uh, snapshot here where we can also see the valuation on a next 12-month PE basis. And what's interesting here is that, again, it's kind of middle of the road, but not the lowest, which tells me that there's room for the valuation to fall. But quite interesting to see here, I've marked here the 1st of November 2023, where the company was trading just about 7.7, 7.9 times, right? And voila, 3 months later, we're sitting at 12. So the stock has actually gone up in multiple significantly since then. The rest of the players have done so as well, but I think this one has jumped quite a bit and still on the lower range. Now, if we were to look at it on the stock itself, it's quite impressive because it was sitting somewhere around $13, $14 back in October to just below 30 where we are now. Okay, so the stock is like more than 100% in 3 months. I really don't think there's much room for the stock to keep going up. So I think as well that the valuation is priced to perfection, if you will. Now, what's even more remarkable about this movement that we just mentioned here, right, is that in the last earnings report, which we can see here, we have so the last 3 quarters they miss expectations, and the last one they miss as well. Not by a great deal, so they were expecting 78 cents loss. Again, that's a loss. And they actually deliver worse numbers, which is a loss of 86 cents. So again, not only we get a miss, but we also get a loss. And what did the stock do since then? Well, it rallied, right? That doesn't really make sense. But why did it rally? The reason why the stock rallied is because the company promised very good numbers for this upcoming quarter, which is going to be taking place on the 6th of March. Okay. But if we look at the numbers from the previous quarter, they're actually not great at all. So we mentioned the loss, but more importantly, we have sales down, gross profit down, operating income down, net income down all year on year. Okay. So now the company is saying for this upcoming quarter, sales are going to be up 2 to 400 basis points, and margins are also going to be up 100 to 200 basis points. They don't really substantiate why that is, although they seem to have placed a lot of faith in the revival of their show, which is part of the reason why they came out at a loss in the last quarter. Um, so that cost them a lot of money to produce. Historically, they had this Victoria's Secret fashion show. They discontinued that back in 2019, and then they brought it back last year in video format. So it's called the Victoria's Secret World Tour, which can be streamed on Amazon. So maybe they think that this is really going to help prop up sales, which is one of the main issues that the company has at the moment. So the company is seeing negative to flat revenue growth for the next couple of years, but they do see earnings growth on years 2 and 3. Slightly above the sector, which I think is quite ambitious considering the trajectory they've been in, but we'll see. Now, if we were to establish that as a quite a bullish case that has been established, I can see that if those expectations are not materialized, or if they are simply just met, I can't see how investors out there would be holding to the stock when they could put their money somewhere else in companies that are growing and thriving, right? Specifically with this kind of sector rotation that we have seen over the last few weeks. So I do think that the next earnings report is going to be quite volatile. The options show this because if we look at, for example, the puts, which is the structure that I'm going to choose, then the 29th dollar puts for March have an implied volatility of 83, whereas the April ones have an implied volatility of 63. And I think that presents us with an interesting opportunity to enter a calendar spread, which is my proposed structure here. Regardless of whether the report is actually good, I just don't think the stock will continue going up much more than it already has. Um, their analyst target in investment banks have gone from $19 to $27 in the last, well, in this during this rally that we've seen. We are past that point now, so arguably there is room for downside according to the investment banks. And also these upgrades were motivated by the announcement that management made. Again, if that fails to materialize or is simply delayed, we could have a violent move to the downside here. Um, I think this is not unnoticed by the market. I think there are out there players already playing at this. Even though the short interest has decreased over the last few weeks, it still remains at a reasonable amount of 12%. So we should not ignore that, but it's not gonna give us a short squeeze either. So I think it's giving me confirmation that the market thinks in a similar way than I do about this stock. Because undoubtedly, this performance here is definitely great. But in terms of relative valuation, it hasn't improved much versus peers. It remains just slightly above the buckle, uh, where it was neck and neck back on November. However, on an absolute basis, the stock has gone from 6.5 times to 12. So I think generally the market could have gotten ahead of itself because this rally started back when we had the inflation print results. Now the company is in the middle of a turnaround and they still have plenty of debt to equity. And that is definitely going to weigh on their ability to grow over the next few years. In the meantime, they are addressing in their investor communication issues like DEI. Now, that's a nice thing to have, but it's not a real earnings growth driver. They're repeatedly making the statement due to past criticism on transgender and plus size models, which led them to fire some of their executives and bring back new people. As for this new document, excuse me, this new movie that they have revamped their show with, I had a look at the ratings on IMDb, and the rating is 2.3% out of 10. Uh, I was not able to look at more reviews than that, really. So we got this one here, actually 2.2 out of 10. And there wasn't really many reviews giving away much. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But if we were to look at how the earnings are gonna play out, here is a chart that I pulled up from Google Trends, capturing the searches for Victoria's Secret compared to other brands over the last 4 years. So we can see here that in the early 2010s, this company was ahead of everybody else in terms of interest. Now, as years go by, we always have these peaks and troughs, where we can see that the trend that started back in 2017 has remained very, very consistent. Yes, the company is still ahead of some other players out there, but we have to bear in mind that some of these companies didn't exist that long ago. And whilst, yes, they had a significant peak over here, uh, they are still going on that downward trend. And what we could also experience, time will tell, is that this peak could have been broken up because remember the way that Google Trends records these impressions is due to the searches, right? But we don't really know what people are searching for specifically. We don't know if they're looking at other products, or they may be looking at this movie. That could have bolstered results in this peak here. So I think there is potential for surprise here, and that is definitely what can move the stock. It's not so much about the actual results, about the result versus expectations. So with that, I'm gonna play a calendar. I'm gonna buy the 19th of April puts and sell the 15th of March 29th puts. That gives us a decent return. If it doesn't move much, we can make money. If it moves a lot to the downside, we can make money. If it goes up a little bit, we can make money. Within reason, of course. So I hope that's helpful. See you soon.